Hi, I'm FUNnBEER. I've been brewing beer and having fun doing it for over 20 years. Today, I'll guide you step by step through brewing your very own pale ale. We'll cover all the equipment and ingredients you'll need to craft a 5-gallon batch, so you can follow along and enjoy the fun in beer making. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I share new recipes every week. Let's dive in and get brewing. A pale ale is a versatile and widely popular beer style known for its balance of malt sweetness and hop bitterness. Originating in England in the 1700s, pale ales are brewed with pale malts, which give them their characteristic golden to amber hue. This style showcases a wide range of hop flavors and aromas, often featuring notes of citrus, pine, floral, or earthy tones, depending on the variety of hops used. Pale ales are medium-bodied and highly drinkable, making them an excellent choice for both craft beer enthusiasts and those new to exploring the world of beer. With a moderate alcohol content and a clean, refreshing finish, pale ales pair well with various foods, from burgers to spicy dishes, and are perfect for any occasion. First, we will start with the essential equipment you'll need to get started brewing. I've included links in the video description to the gear I personally use. Check them out for more details or to grab your own. First, for brewing a 5-gallon batch, a 7.5-gallon pot is an ideal choice. This size provides ample space to handle the vigorous boil without risking messy boilovers, ensuring a smoother brewing process. The pot I recommend, linked below, is a game changer for home brewers. It features a built-in thermometer, allowing you to monitor the temperature precisely throughout your brewing session. Additionally, it comes equipped with a convenient nozzle, making it effortless to transfer your wort to the fermenter while minimizing spills and oxidation. Investing in a quality brewing pot like this one enhances efficiency and helps produce consistent, high-quality beer. Next, you'll need a fermenting bucket slightly larger than 5 gallons to accommodate your brew and allow room for fermentation activity. The fermenting bucket linked below is an excellent choice. It features pre-drawn gallon markings, making it incredibly convenient to measure and monitor your liquid levels accurately. This larger capacity ensures there's enough headspace to handle the foam and carbonation created during fermentation, reducing the risk of spills or overflow. A well-designed fermenting bucket like this simplifies the brewing process and helps you maintain precision in your craft. Next, you'll need an airlock and a carboy bung, both essential tools for the fermentation process. The airlock allows carbon dioxide produced during fermentation to safely escape, preventing pressure buildup, while simultaneously blocking outside air and contaminants from entering your fermenter. The carboy bung securely seals the opening of your fermenter and holds the airlock in place, ensuring a proper fit and airtight conditions. Together, these tools help maintain the perfect environment for your beer to ferment successfully, preserving its quality and flavor. Nylon mesh bags are an absolute must-have for any home brewer. These handy tools simplify the brewing process by containing your hops and grains during the boil or mash, eliminating the need for tedious straining afterward. By using mesh bags, you can easily remove spent hops and grains from the wort, keeping your brew clean and reducing the risk of clogging your equipment. They're reusable, easy to clean, and come in various sizes to fit different brewing needs, making them an indispensable part of your brewing toolkit. A big-ass spoon is an absolute must for brewing. Whether you're stirring your mash, mixing in malt extract, or making sure hops are evenly distributed, a long, sturdy spoon is essential for reaching the bottom of your brew pot and getting the job done efficiently. Opt for one made of stainless steel or food-grade plastic to avoid unwanted reactions with your ingredients. Trust me, having the right spoon makes the whole process smoother, and your arms will thank you for the extra leverage. Sanitizer is absolutely non-negotiable in brewing. Proper sanitation is crucial to ensure the success of your batch, as even the smallest contamination can ruin all your hard work. You'll need to sanitize everything that comes into contact with your beer after the boil, including fermenters, airlocks, utensils, and tubing. By keeping your equipment meticulously clean, you minimize the risk of introducing unwanted bacteria or wild yeast that could spoil your beer. Invest in a high-quality brewing sanitizer, follow the instructions carefully, and remember, clean equipment equals great beer. Your future brews will thank you. A reliable heat source is essential for brewing. While your kitchen stove can get the job done, I highly recommend investing in an outdoor propane burner. These burners offer superior heat control, allowing you to reach a rolling boil quickly and maintain consistent temperatures throughout the brewing process. An outdoor burner also keeps your kitchen free for other tasks, prevents lingering brewing smells indoors, and gives you more space to work with larger pots. Plus, it's perfect for homebrewers who want to scale up their brewing game or enjoy the flexibility of brewing outdoors. A thermometer is a crucial tool for brewing success, as precise temperature control is key to achieving the desired flavors and consistency in your beer. If you didn't go with the pot that includes a built-in thermometer, you'll need a reliable standalone thermometer to monitor temperatures accurately. Look for a digital or analog thermometer with a quick response time and a wide temperature range. This ensures you can accurately measure everything from mash temps to the cooling phase. Keeping a close eye on your brew's temperature helps avoid mistakes and ensures the best possible outcome for your beer. A siphon is essential for smoothly transferring the liquid from your brew pot to the fermenting bucket. When working with 5 gallons of wort, it can be heavy and awkward to manage without a siphon, which allows you to move the liquid safely and efficiently without disturbing the sediment or risking spills. A good siphon typically includes a siphon tube and a racking cane, making the process easier and cleaner. This tool is especially important for minimizing exposure to oxygen, which could affect the quality of your beer. With a siphon, you'll be able to transfer your wort with ease, ensuring a smooth brewing process. A hydrometer is a great tool to have, even though it's not absolutely necessary. It measures the specific gravity of your wort before and after fermentation, allowing you to calculate the alcohol percentage, ABV, of your beer. While it might not be essential for brewing, having a hydrometer gives you the precision to track the fermentation process and ensures your beer is ready to drink at the perfect time. Plus, trust me, when people sample your brew, the first question they'll ask is, "What's the alcohol percentage?" A hydrometer helps you answer confidently. A wort chiller is a game changer, though not strictly mandatory for home brewing. It significantly speeds up the cooling process, helping you bring your wort down to the ideal temperature much faster than waiting for it to cool naturally. This is crucial because pitching yeast at the correct temperature ensures healthy fermentation and prevents contamination from prolonged exposure to warm wort. A wort chiller works by circulating cold water through copper or stainless steel coils that are immersed in the hot wort, efficiently transferring heat away. It's especially helpful for avoiding the risk of bacteria or wild yeast getting into your beer during the cooling phase, ultimately improving your beer's quality and reducing the chance of spoilage. Now, let's talk ingredients. The basic ingredients for brewing your own beer include malt, usually malt extract or grains, hops, yeast, and water. You can find everything you need at your local homebrew store. Just search "homebrew store near me" to find a nearby supplier. These stores often offer a wide selection of brewing ingredients, along with helpful advice from experienced brewers. Alternatively, you can order your ingredients online for added convenience. Online shops often have an even broader selection and allow you to explore different malts, hops, and yeasts from around the world. Whether you choose to shop locally or online, make sure to pick up the freshest ingredients for the best brewing results. For the flavoring grains and malts, you'll need a variety of ingredients that will contribute to the color, flavor, and body of your beer. 11 pounds of 2-row malt, 12 ounces of crystal malt 60L. For the hops, you'll need a selection that matches the style of beer you're brewing. Hops contribute bitterness, flavor, and aroma, and they play a key role in balancing the sweetness of the malt. Here's what you'll typically need for this batch. 0.50 ounces of Magnum Hops, 1 ounce of Perle Hops, 3 ounces of Cascade Hops. For the yeast, you'll need to choose a strain that complements the style of beer you're brewing. Yeast is responsible for fermenting the sugars in the wort and producing alcohol, carbon dioxide, and various flavor compounds. For this batch, we will be using a California ale yeast. Additionally, you'll need a clarifier to help ensure your beer is clear and free from unwanted sediment. Clarifiers help to remove suspended particles, yeast, and proteins that can cause haze or cloudiness in the final product. We will be using Whirloc tablets, just 1 tablet. All right, let's get brewing. First, fill your fermenting bucket with 5 gallons of water. If your bucket doesn't have a 5-gallon mark, simply draw one with a permanent marker to ensure accurate measurements. Once you've added the water, continue filling it to the rim to ensure you're at the correct volume. Next, add 1 ounce of sanitizer to the water. This step is crucial to ensure that all equipment coming into contact with your wort will be sanitized properly. Stir the solution thoroughly, making sure all surfaces of the bucket are sanitized. Now, if you're using liquid yeast, remove it from the fridge and allow it to warm to room temperature for about 15-30 minutes. This step helps activate the yeast, as it performs best at fermentation temperatures and will be more likely to start working vigorously once pitched into the wort. For dry yeast, simply follow the rehydration instructions on the packet. Typically, you'll dissolve the dry yeast in a small amount of water, usually around 100 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 to 40 degrees Celsius for about 10-15 minutes before adding it to the wort. This helps rehydrate the yeast and gets it ready to ferment. Make sure not to use water that's too hot as it can damage the yeast. Next, add 2 to 3 gallons of clean water to your pot. The quality of water is crucial, as it directly impacts the taste of your beer. Avoid using hose water, as it can contain chlorine, chloramine, or other contaminants that could negatively affect your beer's flavor. If you're using tap water, it's a good idea to treat it by either filtering it or letting it sit for a day to allow any chlorine to dissipate. If you're unsure about the water quality, you might want to use bottled or filtered water to ensure your beer tastes its best. Once the water is in the pot, you're ready to continue with the next steps of the brewing process. Place the pot on your heat source and turn on the heat to begin heating the water. If you're using a propane burner or another heat source that heats quickly, keep a close eye on the pot to avoid a boil over. It's also a good idea to stir occasionally to help evenly distribute the heat throughout the water. Now, place all your flavoring grains and malt into a large nylon mesh bag. This will make it much easier to handle and strain out the grains later in the brewing process. The mesh bag will allow the water to pass through and extract the flavors, sugars, and color from the grains, while keeping the solid grains contained. Secure the bag with a knot or drawstring to prevent it from floating around in the pot. Stir occasionally to ensure the grains are fully immersed and extract their flavors properly. Submerge the bag filled with flavoring grains and malt into the heating water and steep for 30 minutes. Make sure the bag is fully submerged but doesn't touch the bottom of the pot, as direct contact could result in scorching the grains. To help with this, you can suspend the bag using a spoon or a hook, ensuring it stays in the water without resting on the pot's surface. During the steeping process, stir occasionally to ensure the grains are evenly soaked. This will help extract the desired flavors, color, and sweetness from the malt. After 30 minutes, you'll be ready to remove the bag and move on to the next step in your brewing process. If the water temperature reaches 170 degrees Fahrenheit, 77 degrees Celsius, try to maintain it throughout the steeping process. 170 degrees Fahrenheit is the ideal temperature for steeping most flavoring grains and malts, as it helps extract the right flavors without over-extracting tannins, which could result in undesirable astringency. To maintain the temperature, you can adjust your heat source accordingly. If it starts to exceed 170 degrees Fahrenheit, lower the heat or remove the pot from the burner for a moment to allow the temperature to drop. Keeping the temperature steady will ensure you get the best flavor and color from the grains without introducing any harshness. Once the 30-minute steeping time is up, remove the grain bag from the pot and let it drain into the pot, making sure to extract as much liquid as possible. After that, bring the water to a boil. Stay close to your pot during this stage, as the wort will begin to foam as it heats up. Be prepared to adjust the heat to prevent a boil over. If foam starts to rise too quickly, lower the heat temporarily until the foam settles. Once the foam subsides, you can bring the heat back up and continue boiling. The goal here is to maintain a rolling boil for the next phase of your brewing process, when you'll add your malt extract, hops, and other ingredients. Keep an eye on the pot to ensure the boil stays consistent. Now, add your Magnum hops to a mesh bag to contain them and prevent loose hop particles from floating around in the wort. Place the mesh bag into the pot with the boiling water. This hop addition will provide bitterness to balance the sweetness of the malt. Once the hops are in, start your timer for a 60-minute boil. This is the primary boiling phase where you'll add other hops and ingredients at specific intervals. Keep an eye on the boil, adjust the heat as necessary to maintain a steady rolling boil, and be ready for the next hop additions and other steps as the timer progresses. During the boil, sanitize everything that will come in contact with the beer after cooling to prevent contamination. This includes the fermenting bucket, airlocks, thermometer, hydrometer, spoons, and any other utensils you'll use during the fermentation process. A quick tip is to use the sanitizing solution from step 1, the water and sanitizer mixture, for this purpose. Just make sure to thoroughly sanitize all these items and set them aside, ensuring they stay clean and ready for use once the wort is cooled. Keeping your tools and equipment sanitized is crucial to avoid any unwanted bacteria or wild yeast that could ruin your batch. With 30 minutes left in the boil, add the Perle hops to a mesh bag to contain them and prevent any hop particles from lingering in the wort. Place the hop-filled mesh bag into the pot, allowing the hops to impart their aroma and flavor during the final minute of boiling. This late addition will provide a mild, aromatic hop character without adding significant bitterness. Once the timer reaches 0, the boil is complete, and you're ready to move on to cooling the wort and pitching the yeast. With 20 minutes left in the boil, carefully remove your immersion wort chiller from the sanitizing solution. Rinse it thoroughly with clean water to remove any residual sanitizer. Once it's rinsed, add the wort chiller to the boiling wort. By placing the chiller in the pot during the last 20 minutes of the boil, you'll help sanitize it further and ensure it's fully prepared for cooling the wort after the boil is complete. Make sure the chiller is submerged and positioned so that it can efficiently cool the wort later on, and keep an eye on the boil to finish out your brewing process. With 1 minute left in the boil, measure out 2 of the 3 ounces of Cascade hops and place them into a sanitized mesh bag. This will help contain the hops and prevent particles from lingering in the wort. Carefully add the hop-filled mesh bag to the boiling wort, allowing it to infuse its aromatic qualities during the final minute. This late addition enhances the beer's aroma and flavor profile, without significantly increasing its bitterness. After the 60-minute boil timer concludes, follow these steps to ensure the next stage of your brewing process goes smoothly. Immediately turn off the heat source to stop the boiling process. This will prevent overboiling and help bring the temperature down quickly. Carefully remove your hop bags from the pot. Gently squeeze out any remaining wort from the bags, being careful not to burn yourself as the wort is still hot. Discard the hop bags. Add your Whirloc Clarifier tablet to the wort. This will help coagulate proteins and other particles, making it easier to clarify the wort later on. Stir gently to dissolve the tablet and help it mix evenly into the wort. With these steps completed, you're ready to move on to cooling the wort and preparing for fermentation. Now start the cooling process to bring your hot wort down to around 130 degrees Fahrenheit, 54 degrees Celsius. You have a few options for cooling. Use a wort chiller. Submerge your sanitized immersion wort chiller into the pot and turn on the cold water. The chiller will help lower the temperature quickly by circulating water through the coils, cooling the wort from the outside. Without a wort chiller, if you don't have a wort chiller, you can cover the pot and run cool water over it, or immerse the pot in an ice bath. If you choose the ice bath method, make sure the water level is high enough to surround the pot, but avoid getting water into the wort itself. While the wort is cooling, empty the sanitizing solution from the fermenting bucket and rinse it thoroughly with clean water. This ensures that any residual sanitizer is removed, leaving the bucket clean and ready for the cooled wort. Make sure the bucket is completely rinsed and free of any sanitizer before moving on to the next step of transferring the wort. This is a crucial step to avoid any contamination that could affect the fermentation process. Once the fermenting bucket is clean and rinsed, add 2 gallons of cold, clean water to the bucket. This helps lower the temperature of the wort further and brings the total volume up to the desired amount for fermentation. The cold water will mix with the cooled wort, bringing it closer to the optimal fermentation temperature. Be sure to stir gently to ensure everything is well mixed. And once the wort is at the correct temperature, you're ready to transfer the wort into the fermenting bucket. When the wort reaches 130 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, transfer it to the fermenting bucket with the 2 gallons of cold water you added earlier. Stir the mixture gently to combine the cooled wort and water thoroughly. Next, fill the fermenting bucket to the 5-gallon line with additional cold water. Stir again to ensure an even mixture. After this, cover the fermenting bucket with the lid and allow the wort to cool further until it reaches the ideal fermentation temperature range. This may take some time depending on the ambient temperature. Once the wort reaches the proper temperature, you're ready to move on to pitching the yeast and starting the fermentation process. Once the wort has cooled to 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, take a sample using a sanitized hydrometer to measure the specific gravity. This reading will help you determine the potential alcohol content of your beer once fermentation is complete. Important note: do not return the sample back to the wort after taking the hydrometer reading. This helps prevent any contamination from entering the fermenting wort. You can discard the sample or save it for a small taste test if you're feeling adventurous. Now it's time to pitch the yeast. Add your London English-style ale yeast to the cooled wort in the fermenting bucket. If you're using liquid yeast, simply pour it directly into the wort. For dry yeast, sprinkle it evenly across the surface of the wort. There's no need to stir the yeast in immediately, as the yeast will naturally begin to hydrate and sink into the wort. Make sure to secure the lid on the fermenting bucket and insert the airlock. Your yeast is now ready to start the fermentation process. Store your fermenter in a cool, dark place where the room temperature stays between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the ideal temperature range for the fermentation of most brews, allowing the yeast to work efficiently without stressing or producing off flavors. Make sure the area is free from direct sunlight or temperature fluctuations that could interfere with the fermentation process. Once stored, allow the yeast to do its job, and you should start to see signs of fermentation, like bubbling in the airlock, within 24-48 hours. Patience is key during this phase. Gently tap the fermenting bucket daily to release any trapped air that may accumulate. This helps prevent excessive pressure buildup inside the bucket and ensures the airlock functions properly. Tapping also helps redistribute any yeast that may have settled at the bottom, encouraging active fermentation. Be gentle to avoid disturbing the wort too much. As fermentation progresses, you'll likely hear bubbling in the airlock, indicating that the yeast is working and producing CO2. After the fermentation has been active for 5 days, it's time to dry hop your beer. Take the remaining 1 ounce of Cascade hops and carefully add it directly to the liquid in the fermenter. Be very cautious during this step to avoid introducing any contaminants. Ensure all tools and surfaces are sanitized before opening the fermenter. Sprinkle the hops in gently, then reseal the fermenter immediately to maintain a clean environment. Dry hopping imparts a fresh hop aroma to the beer without increasing bitterness, enhancing its aroma and adding a unique flavor character. Allow the hops to steep in the beer for the remaining days of fermentation or settling before bottling or kegging. After 14 days, which includes 7 days of fermentation and 7 days of settling, your beer should be ready to be bottled or kegged. By this point, the fermentation process is complete, and the yeast has had time to settle at the bottom of the fermenter. Before bottling or kegging, you can take a final hydrometer reading to confirm that fermentation has finished and the specific gravity is stable. When you're ready to bottle or keg, be sure to sanitize all equipment that will come into contact with the beer, such as bottles, caps, or kegs, to avoid any contamination. Enjoy the final steps of your brewing process. Your homemade beer is almost ready to drink. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. If you try the recipe, leave a comment and let me know how it turned out. I share new recipes every week, so if there's a specific one you'd like to see next, drop your suggestion in the comments. This has been Brewing with FUNnBEER, beer made for good times.